Oh, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the regular council meeting of the Township of McNabb Braeside for May the 18th at 7 o'clock to order. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, are there any additions to the agenda, CAO? Deletions? No, we're good.
I don't have any note.
Okay, so I need a mover and seconder for the adoption of the agenda. Councillor Lang, Councillor Broom, all in favor? Carried, thank you. There's no delegations. We're down to item 6.1, adoption of the previous council minutes for the regular meeting on May the 4th. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Jacob, Deputy Mayor Armston. Is there any comments, questions about the minutes? All in favor as presented? Carried, thank you. We're on to 7.1, Canada Healthy Communities Initiative. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Armston, Councillor Broom. Is Ms. Coughlin here to speak on this or not?
No, she's not.
So there's recommendation there that council receive the Canada Health Communications Initiative report as information that's been submitted, and further that council authorize staff to proceed with preparing materials and advancing this project. The background is there. Is there any questions or comments? Councillor Lang, perhaps? Councillor Lang?
You're muted, Heather.
Sorry, Tom, I couldn't hear you. I am so absolutely thrilled that we got this grant. I'm beyond ecstatic. So I just had some questions, and I guess maybe staff will be, well, they're proceeding with advancing the project. So I imagine, my questions will be answered down the road. I mean, we're halfway through May, and this project is to start in May. And of course, there's a question about people on the committee, and hopefully I'll be one of those members. And I do have somebody who has a lot of experience who would be thrilled to be working on the working group. And I also wanted to know, how the community engagement process would work. Maybe these are questions that are too premature to answer tonight. I don't know.
Mayor Peggott, you're muted.
I would think just learning of this this week about the grant and stuff like that, I think there'll likely be a lot more information of how we're going to proceed to come forward. Am I correct in that, Ms. Lee?
Yeah, so once Kelly, the treasurer, is back in the office, we'll have a chance to discuss it and move forward, and we'll bring that information to council.
Thank you. I was very pleased that we got that grant too, and it's looks like Claybank Park is going to move forward into what the Councillor Lang has envisioned and hoped for, and I want to thank her for her hard work for that, and also for the support of all of council and staff and moving that project forward. I think it is a really important project for the township. Any other comments or questions about this recommendation? All in favor of the recommendation to receive his information? It's carried. Thank you. We're on to information items. 8.1, Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, strengthening accountability for council member sessions. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Broom, Deputy Mayor Armstrong. Is there any questions or comments on this? This is something that the provincial government's been looking at and working on for a while now. No comments, so all in favor of receiving that item 8.1 as, or 8.11 as information? Carried, thank you. 8.12, media release, mayors, reeves, wardens call on federal and provincial government to support the EORN gig project to bring fiber to the home. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Broom, Councillor Lang. This is another step forward for hopefully getting high-speed internet to all our residences throughout Eastern Ontario. Anyways, any questions or comments from council? Councillor Broom?
Do we have any way of verifying that Bell was successful with their grant application? I'm being told by their staff that they were. And since we were part of the, supplying of letter and recognition that, Bell would further, I'm just looking, prime example right here, 100 new houses. It's right here, ready to go. But they're fighting between Bell and Hydro, who's gonna put up telephone poles. We don't understand what one has to do with the other. And that the reason they're giving is they're out of money. But yet, I do believe that McNabb Braeside should have at least seen some of the awardants of, if they were awarded money, we help get that money. I'm kind of hoping that they will. Now, not only here, there's several spots within the township that are ready to go, that, the high speed's right there. So I don't know if that's something that, I may be able to ask the warden about, or yourself, Mayor. And, I just, it's frustrating, really is.
Well, my understanding is that they have been given money to move forward with this project, and EORN is trying to work with them to get a lot of the work done in Renfrew County. So that's about all I can tell you on that. But I just have a question about your comment about Bell and Hydro about the poles. In the new subdivision, all the cables and everything are underground. And do you not think that they would have run 5 cable along with that when they were putting it in there? I would have expected that, but Shirley's been wrong lots of times, but Councillor Broom?
It's the existing subdivision. So Madison Heights, they're gonna have to go underneath the ground because there's no telephone poles in there. I do believe there's conduit run already, so it'll just be run through the conduit. But that's all of Duncan Drive. The new subdivision will be like the newer subdivision that they just did here now. It's all underground. So, they're talking maybe 15 telephone poles, if that. But yet, I don't understand, because the telephone poles in question were just changed 2 years ago.
Okay.
So, we've talked to Bell, and that's straight from the engineer that services Renfrew County through Bell. So I'm taking at least the engineer on his word.
So we'll have to leave that battle between themselves, I think, but sooner or later, they're going to have to work something out to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other comments on the media release? Ms. Lee, do we put that on our website?
We can, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I would appreciate that. Okay, so if there's no other questions, all in favor of receiving his information? Carried, thank you. All the way down to 11.1 new business, July 2021 meeting schedule. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Armstrong, Councillor Lang. Ms. Lee, I guess this is what we have been doing in the last several years. Personally, I don't see any problem with it. The county takes the month of July off as well as far as meetings go. However, the county, I think the same as we would do, should the need arise, we would call a special meeting if things need to be taken care of. The thing that I'm concerned with that we would call a meeting is for, I don't want to see any holdup in any development that's going to be moving forward throughout the summer. So if Ms. Young, if you see a need to have a special meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee or whatever to move things forward in development, please don't hesitate. We need to keep things moving, and just because we're having some time off in the summer, the contractors and the builders certainly are not. Any comments, Ms. Lee? No.
No, I mean, if we need to have a meeting, we'll call it.
Okay. So I believe it's a recommendation. So all in favor of the recommendation is submitted. It's carried. Thank you. 11.2 Carl Berger, 745 Mill Ridge Road. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Jacob, Deputy Mayor Armstrong. Is there anyone going from the council or township going to speak on this? Is that okay, Ms. Young?
Mr. Berger had called me and he wanted to know if council would have an appetite to selling him the road allowance or leasing it. I told him I didn't know. That was something that we could take to council, and if they had an appetite for it, then we could move ahead with the formal application, and then we'd have to go back to get comments from staff, give council a proper mapping of it, all the pros and cons, and go from there. And then council would have to tell me how they want to go about, if they were choose to sell it, how they wanted to go about it, if they were going to have it appraised, and then who was going to pay for the survey, and so on and so forth. So he just wrote in the letter just to see if you have an appetite to do it at all, and whether he should even bother trying to move forward.
Well, just from the diagram and the numbers, I for one don't have a clue where this road allowance is. I can't sort of understand the diagram, because there's a road allowance on one side of the property and a road allowance on the other side of the property. So I'm not following this. My suggestion would be that we refer this to Mr. Frew, and if he doesn't see a need to hang on to it, then we need to get better information about it, and we can move forward whether council wants to sell it, lease it, or whatever at that point. But as far as this evening goes, I couldn't make any kind of comment on what's been presented. Any questions or comments from council? Deputy Mayor Armstrong, and then Councillor Lang.
Yeah, I'm certainly not opposed to it in principle. Like you said, we just need a little bit more information, I think, at this point. I tried to do Google map it, and even then it didn't really make sense where this, well, I guess 2 road allowances are. This property, to me, unless Google map was lying to me, looks to be on the side of a farmer's field that doesn't really lend itself to road allowances in that area. So it's kind of confusing. Thank you.
Agreed. Councillor Lang, please.
Yeah, I just had the same comment. I had no idea where this is, and I'm quite familiar with Mill Ridge Road, but the map certainly was not helpful.
So would staff be in agreement then just to forward this to Mr. Frew for his comments? Or
Yeah, and I can get you better mapping for the next meeting in June with Mr. Frew's comments.
That would be perfect.
Okay.
Council in agreement? Okay, so we have staff direction to pass this on to Mr. Frew and bring it back later. All in favor? Carried, thank you. 11.3 OPP Renfrew Detachment Board Proposal. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lang, Deputy Mayor Armstrong. Questions or comments on this? Well, there is a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of Township of McNabb Braeside hereby supports a Renfrew Detachment Board composition of 11 members as follows: 1 council representative from each municipality and 2 community appointees and 2 provincial appointees. Discussion? Councillor Jacob?
I think from my perspective, this is something that the province has been working on for a number of years. It's not something new coming through council table. I think the idea that's come forward from the Police Services Board and the municipalities involved is the fairest way to ensure regional representation, as well as including community representatives in addition to council. So I, for one, would support the recommendation.
Anyone else? Deputy Mayor Armstrong?
I think it's a great idea in writing and in principle. However, I hope that it's not just lip service, and that when, let's say, logical suggestions are made at the table that all of the municipalities agree on, such as the fact that McNabb Braeside is charged for accidents on 417, when really the only involvement we have is the fact that the highway passes through us. If all of the municipalities agree that it should be a provincial cost, not a municipal cost, then I just had the feeling that the OBP is going to pat us on the head, say thank you very much, and carry on. So I hope it's not a complete waste of time.
Agreed. And was a member of our Police Services Board in Aaron Prairie and in McNabb Township. And unless it was some very minor thing, what happened is exactly what you just said, Deputy Mayor. And even when we tried to get them to agree to the contract that they signed about a speed sign, they wouldn't abide by the contract. So I guess we should give it a try though and see if things are going to change. As long as it's not costing the township any more money towards policing. I think we can try and work along with to get something changed. And I envision this thing, if it's going to work, there has to be a lot of change in how policing is done in not only McNabb-Braeside, but in Ontario. Just my opinion. Anything else? All in favor of the recommendation? Oh, sorry, Ms. Lee, please. You're muted.
Who's going to be our council representative?
We'll have discussion on that.
I need to know tonight.
You need
I
to-
have to have this back to the other municipalities.
That's pretty sad that they sent it to you that quick and want it back right away.
Well, I mean, I guess I could, hold on. When's our next meeting? If we want, we can move it to June 1st, but that is the latest.
Yeah. So these meetings take place in the daytime?
Which meetings?
The OPP meetings, it's board meetings, so they take place in the daytime or at night?
I assume during the day, I don't know.
So the Deputy Mayor?
Well, I think just once again, we need a little bit more information. And my time is certainly limited during the day. So, and I don't know the frequency of the meetings, if it's once a month or once a quarter. So my ability to volunteer for it, I just need more information on whether or not I can actually do it before I volunteer for it.
Yeah. Okay.
So can I just get a commitment that we will be putting somebody on the committee?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So we're back to all in favor of the recommendation. 3, it's carried. Thank you. Item 11.4, parachute training. Seeing how they've already been at it for the best part of the week. I did know it was coming, and I did see today the big Hercules amazing plane. It's
We still need a mover and seconder.
Oh, sorry. Moved by Deputy Mayor Armstrong, second by Councilor Jacob. That plane is amazing. It's so huge, but yet it can almost sit perfectly still in the air, like it's almost not moving. It's just unbelievable. But anyway, they've been at it for a while. They called and asked some time ago, and I guess it's just getting to council for information. Any questions or comments? CAO?
So originally it was supposed to be in June, and that's why he only asked a week ago. But then they changed it to this week, and he emailed today to say that they were doing our area, i.e. Claybank, today and tomorrow. But we put it on the meeting anyways, because I guess I'm begging for forgiveness because I signed the agreement without asking for counsel ahead of time because of the timing.
No forgiveness. Yes, I'm just as bad as you, because I told them that I did not think council would object to it. So, but I didn't guarantee it. However, have to help out our military whenever we can. So if there's no other comments or questions, all in favor of to receive as information? Carried, thank you. On to bylaws. 13.1. Bylaw 2021-25 cemetery amendment fees and charges. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Jacob, Councillor Lang. Questions or comments? Is this, was there increases, Ms. Lee? Or was it just?
No, we just had to make it, well, one, we wanted to make it clear where each amount was going to between the cemetery rate and the care and maintenance. And also we now have to charge HST for it.
I think that's terrible. I really do. Anyway, is there any other comments, questions? All in favor of the bylaw? Carried, thank you. 13.2 bylaw 2021-26 land use agreement, Dave Hamilton, MyCC property. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Broom, Deputy Mayor Armstrong. Questions or comments? Councillor Lang.
Yes, so I know that we do this every year, and I know that there's a clause in there where we can end the term or the agreement with some notice. What I just am afraid of this happening next year, and we have applied for, or we are applying for tree planting grants through the Rotary Club, and this parcel of land is part of that land for tree planting. So I just worry that we'll enter into an agreement next year in May and we get possibly trees or a grant, hopefully later, like let's say June or whatever, and we've already entered into agreement. So I really hope that for next year we delay if we haven't had a decision from the grant application by this time next year.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I was wondering about that myself. And the other thing is, when is the construction of the trail from the township over to Alexander Stewart Park going to take place?
It doesn't interfere with his farming, he said.
It does not?
No.
Okay. Councillor Lang?
I think that, when you and I met with the Rotary Club, we had discussed building a trail through, when we plant the trees directly across and to the trail link to the park. So we envisioned, another network of trails from the school through the property as well.
Okay. Anyway, I think we have to be very aware that next year, and actually this is coming along late this year because Mr. Hamilton's already tilled up the property and I suspect has planted it. I think that we need to perhaps give him notice this year that there's a strong possibility that the land will not be available next year. Because I think it's very important that we go ahead with trees planting an area. There may be some property left after that he may want to farm for a couple of years, but if we get the grant for the trees, then I think that has to take priority. Anyway, I guess, Ms. Lee, if we just put an asterisk or something to make sure that Mr. Hamilton is aware of what's in the works as far as the property goes, so that he doesn't wait until this time next year in order and already have it plowed and planted before getting the bylaw passed.
If we know where these trees are gonna be planted, we could just map that out and change the agreement for next year.
Okay,
And then have to put money in the budget if we don't do the trees to maintain that property.
Councillor Lang.
We envision planting most of that hectare CAO.
About 20 hectares, is it?
Mhm.
So it's quite an area there. And that could be areas of that could be either transplanted or moved depending on future councils' decisions of what they're going to do with the land. But currently, and I think this council has agreed, and rightly so, that we want to plant trees there for now. Any other comments? All in favor of the bylaw? It's carried. Thank you. 13.3 bylaw 2021-27 zoning bylaw amendment, Oceans Property Inc. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Jacob, Councillor Broom. This is the Mr. Connolly's property up in White Lake that we discussed at the PAC meeting. Is there any questions or comments come up on that? Seeing none, all in favor of the bylaw? Carried, thank you. Is there any public in attendance tonight, Ms. Lee? No?
No,
No closed meeting. Next council meetings, June 1st, June 15th. Mover and seconder for confirmatory bylaw, please. Councillor Lang, Deputy Mayor Armstrong, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.